Hey, this is James. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you could be here with us. Today we are going to cover Matthew 26, verses 36 through 46. So let's get right to the text. Then Jesus went with them to a place called Gethsemane. And he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." And taking with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is very sorrowful, even to death. Remain here and watch with me." And going a little farther, he fell on his face and prayed, saying, "My Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." And he came to his disciples and found them sleeping. And he said to Peter, "So, could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." Again, he said for the second time, he went away and prayed, "My Father, if this cannot pass unless I drink it, your will be done." And again he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. So leaving them again, he went away and prayed for the third time, saying the same words again. Then he came to the disciples and said to them, "Sleep and take your rest later on. See, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand." Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about, my first point, is that Jesus had a real body. Now, I love history. That's why I'm getting my PhD in history. And we tend to make mistakes, and we tend to repeat them. There was a group, I'm referring to R.C. Sproul's commentary on Matthew. There was a group called the Docetics, or Doceticism, and it comes from a Greek word dokeo, which means to seem, think, or to appear. And they had this belief that Jesus only appeared to have a human body. He didn't really have a human body. And there are other groups that have repeated other mistakes along the way as well. But between here and then at the end of John, where, Jesus was on the lake shore, and he took, remember, he had told them to cast the net on the other side, and they said, "Master, we've been at this all night." But they did it. They pulled in a large load of fish, and they drug it to the shore, and he apparently had started a fire. They cooked the fish, and he ate the fish with them. So it's very clear that Jesus has a physical body, and he also has a human will. So there are other mistakes in other groups from the past, like the Arians who denied the Trinity. Modern day Jehovah's Witnesses remind me of them. There are other groups that make mistakes that have been made in the past. I mean, they're not, they're just reinventing the wheel in a sense when it comes to heresy. But Jesus did have a physical body, and that's the main point. So, but I want to focus on the fact that Jesus had a human will, and he bent his will to God. Point number 2 is that Jesus submitted his will to God the Father. And it says it here in verse 39. He said, "Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." And then the second time he prayed, in verse 41, it said, "The Spirit..." Oh, no. Here it is. "My Father, if this cannot pass unless I drink it, your will be done." And it says in verse 44 that he went away and prayed for the third time, saying the same words again. So many of us have had bad things happen to us. Between November 2018 and June of 2019, I had a car catch on fire. I lost a job that I was not I was fired for working off the clock. So, in my opinion, to this day, it was done inappropriately. Of course, if you can't make your house payment, you lose your house. And then, of course, if you don't have a house, you can't have a pet. So we had to give our dog away. And then once I did, in fact, by the grace of God, get back on my feet, my first wife left me. So I know what it feels like to have bad things happen. And you're like, how in the world could this be a part of God's will? And you're like, James, why are you comparing this? This was Jesus' plan all along. He wanted to go to the cross. He wanted to give up his life. He did. But it was still painful. It was very painful. And he was willing to go through that pain to get to the other side, to experience the resurrection, and to show his disciples he truly is who he claims to be. Sometimes God puts bad circumstances in our life to teach us things. And we resist it. We don't want it. Americans are known for seeking pleasure and avoiding pain, but that's not the call of the gospel. The call of the gospel is to deny self, take up your cross, and follow him. And so, if you're going through a rough time right now, if you're going through a bad situation, trust that God is going to get you through it. And if he's disciplining you for something, try to learn from, just pray. Say, God, what are you trying to teach me? I've had bad things happen, and when I was in Kansas City, I worked for somebody that he was the interim supervisor, but he didn't want me there, and he was trying to get rid of me, and he said some things about me that were not true. And you're like, well, why would I have to go through something like that? Well, when you go through adversity and you come out the other side, you can tell people, look at what the Lord has done in my life. Look at how God got me through that storm. And you can do it, and you can hold your head up and know that God is going to take care of you, even in the most difficult of circumstances. So, I'm not going to complain about. I live in an RV. My wife recently said she's not moving down here. I'm going through a divorce. I'm going through a very difficult situation in my life. But you know what? God's going to get me through this. I have no doubt about it. The third point I want to talk about is in verse 45. So, point number 3, Jesus said, the hour is at hand. And the one advantage, obviously, Jesus has over us is we don't know what's coming next. We don't know what's going to happen. We are not aware of how different circumstances are. Something bad could happen because we're being disciplined by God. Something bad could happen because we're under an attack from the enemy. Something bad could happen because God's trying to teach us something. But either way, we have to trust God with it. And he says, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand. So he knew this was the most crucial point in time. That this was why he came. Some people who are watching this, you may be going through a difficult situation, and you may be thinking to yourself, well, if I just had a different job, then I'd be happy. Well, maybe this difficult work environment is exactly why God put you there. It could be that God put you there to bring light into a dark situation. Maybe God is trying to grow us up to prepare us for something better in the future. We don't know. I mean, I could sum up this whole lesson with one simple phrase. Trust God and do good. That's what we're called to do. We're to trust God. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. He will direct your paths. I trust in the Lord. He is going to do what is right in all situations. Now, I'm going to Norman tomorrow. Well, I'm going to drive up and go see my girls tonight, but I'm going to Norman tomorrow. Norman is not a very friendly place for Oklahoma State fans. But I'm going to trust God. And I'm also going to wear some camo. This is from Military Appreciation. So, it's from Military Appreciation Week. Now, somebody wants to give me a hard time for being an Oklahoma State fan, go ahead. But I'm also a veteran, so try to be respectful. I don't know. It might work. It might not. Who knows? I just know it's going to be cold. So, anyway, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for watching. I want to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed. I know that I wish the channel has grown more, but once again, here's a situation where things aren't going exactly the way I want them to. But I have to trust God. He'll bring the right people at the right time to subscribe to this channel. But if you are new, please hit like and subscribe. I'm trying to put good, solid biblical content on the internet, and there's plenty of junk on the internet, and there's plenty of junk on YouTube. So why not have some good Bible-based teaching? So anyway, pray for me this weekend. Sunday, yes, very important. Sunday we'll do the next lesson on the podcast. So I'll put the information for the podcast right there. And until then, I hope you have a good weekend.